Hi, third graders. Today, I'm going to teach you how to write a lowercase cursive F. Before you start, you'll need either a whiteboard and a dry erase marker, like the one I'm using here, there's my eraser, or a blank sheet of paper and a pen or a pencil. That's where you should be practicing your letters at first, before you move on to lined paper. So as you can see on the whiteboard, I've written all of the undercurve lowercase letters we've learned so far. Today, we're going to learn how to write a lowercase f. If you can write a lowercase h and a b and an l, you can also write a lowercase f. Let me show you the strokes. Undercurve, loop back. This one drops all the way to the basement, loops forward, and gets an undercurve. This letter, boys and girls, has a part that goes under the bottom line to what Mrs. D calls the basement line. This part is called a descender because it descends or goes underneath that bottom line. Let me show you again. Undercurve, loop back, pull back all the way to the basement, loop forward, undercurve again. Undercurve, loop back, pull back all the way to the basement, loop forward, undercurve. Undercurve, pull back all the way to the basement line, loop forward, undercurve. That is your lowercase f. It's really helpful, boys and girls, to practice the letter in the air with your finger. I'll show you once in the air, and also to trace your finger on the desk or table, the surface you're working on, because that helps your brain remember shape too. So as I do this in the air with my finger, do it with me and say the words. Undercurve, loop back, pull it all the way to the basement, loop forward, undercurve. That's what it looks like to practice in the air. To practice on your desk with your finger is also great practice, and it helps your brain remember the shape. Watch. Undercurve, loop back, pull all the way to the basement, loop forward, undercurve. The last thing you can do is trace. Tracing helps your brain remember shape too. Undercurve, loop back, pull it all the way to the basement, loop forward, undercurve. Never skip the tracing part because tracing helps you learn shape as well. There's your lowercase f. Let me show you some connections before we move on to line paper. Now, when you think about connections and start to practice them, you have to remember the 4 keys to legibility: size, shape, slant, and spacing. I'll show you a few 2-letter joinings, which I think you should practice quite a bit before you move on to line paper 2. I'm not going to tell you what they are because you're getting good at reading cursive, and you should be able to read them at this point, but they'll be a combination of any of the letters you see up here. That's your hint. Undercurve, loop back, pull to the basement, loop forward, undercurve. And here's one 3-letter combination. So let's take a look. If you said FL, FI, FE, FU, and IFE, you're right. Those are some joinings that you can practice before you move on to line paper. I'll write a few words. Let's see if you can read them. If you said full and beef, you're right. You're getting very good at reading in cursive. Let's move on to line paper. I'd like to also show you some common mistakes kids make when writing their lowercase cursive F. Here's my line paper. Practicing without lines, boys and girls, really helps you focus on shape and slant. So I strongly suggest practicing on blank paper for a while before moving to line paper. Let's do the same thing though that you'd have to do for homework. So you'll have a row of F's that you need to trace first and then write on your own. Remember, when you write your own, I'd like you to circle your best work on each line. So let's just practice F by itself and practice size within the lines on your line paper. Now, if you are righty, slanting your paper to the right is going to help you have an automatic slant. If you're a lefty, you're going to pull the paper towards you, to the left. Make sure you stand up nice and tall in your chair and that your chair is supporting your back and that your feet are on the ground in front of you, because posture will help you a lot when writing in cursive. It helps so that you don't get tired. So let me show you some F's using the line as a guide now. F starts at the bottom with an undercurve. Undercurve, loop back, pull it about the basement line, loop forward, undercurve. Undercurve, loop back, pull to the basement, loop forward, undercurve. Undercurve, pull back, loop to the basement, loop forward, undercurve. Undercurve, loop back, pull to the basement, loop forward, undercurve. F's the kind of letter you're going to need lots of practice with. So out of these four, I'm going to circle the one I think I did the best. I don't love this one, but I think the second one here is the one that I did the best. Notice my slant. Cursive writing is slanted to the right. My shape and my size are good too. So there's F all by itself. When it's time to do your practice page, make sure you trace all of the writing that's already in the paper. That will help your brain remember correct size, shape, slant, and spacing. So the tracing is really key when you're learning to write in cursive. We can do connections. You've got some connections on your paper too. I'll show you some other connections that I didn't do on the whiteboard. Here's FT. And here is UF. Those two-letter joinings are really, really, really important. And what I would do if I were you is I would write all the letters that you already learned, like I did on top of the whiteboard before. I just made a list right across the top of the paper. And then this way I can use any of those two-letter combinations or three-letter combinations to really practice joining. It's really important to do that, boys and girls, so that you can practice uniform spacing and uniform slant. So if I write IFE several times, I can practice those three things. So this week, now that you've learned a few more letters, really practice those joinings. 2 and 3 letter joinings will be really, really good. Let's see. I'll write 2 more words. Let's see if you can read them without my help. There we go. If you said left and fit, you are right and getting very good at reading cursive. Now, let me show you a few no-nos, things to watch out for. F, letters that have descenders like F need a lot of practice before kids get them right. And so practice, practice, practice. That's all I can tell you to do to really get good at it. But let me show you some very common F mistakes. And remember, these are the keys to legibility: size, shape, spacing, and slant. So you pick out what you think the mistake might be. Here's the first one. Size, shape, slant, and spacing. If you said shape, you're correct. You see this forward loop? It's too big. Watch Mrs. D again. Undercurve, loop back, pull down to the basement, watch. Loop forward to the bottom line, and then undercurve. So that forward loop at the bottom, it stays under the bottom line. Be careful of that. This is the next very common F mistake. It happens with H also. Watch. Undercurve, loop back, and then this is what happens. So the problem with this is slant, and it's here. This won't happen to you if you tell yourself to pull back. Watch again. Undercurve, loop back, and pull back all the way. Pull it back towards the middle of your body, all the way down here. Then loop forward and undercurve. What happens, boys and girls, is you start out okay. Undercurve, loop back, and then right here, you make your pen go this way. And that's not right. It's an undercurve, loop back, and then pull it back. If you just need to practice this a few times, you might have to. Undercurve, loop back, pull back. Undercurve, loop back, pull back. Undercurve, loop back, pull back. That's the beginning part of the B. So watch out for this. These are all correct. This is not. It's the most common F mistake I see. It happens with H's too. Undercurve, loop back, pull back, up and over curve, undercurve. So that's a good H, and this is what I see happening sometimes. And it happens because this part right here didn't get pulled back. So watch out for this no-no and this no-no too. Those are the most common F mistakes I see. So show us your best lowercase cursive Fs. Your teacher would love to see them. So take a picture and send it to us. See you tomorrow.